Hey everyone, it's actually Jeb Bush, and we are back after an extended hiatus to take a look at some more SoRare Steals. Now, if this is your first time checking out this series, in SoRare Steals, what we do is we go team by team in the NBA, and we find a couple players on each team that we think are extremely undervalued because of their situation. Whether we think they'll get an increase in minutes or shots because of injuries, resting, tanking, trades, all the above. The goal is to find these hidden gems that at some point during this long season, that player will be considered part of an optimal lineup. That way, you can either sell the player for a massive profit or go ahead and use them for a lineup to try to win a valuable card. Now, before we get started, if you're really into DFS, you really love the NBA, and you don't have an NBA SoRare account, you can actually click the link right here or in the description below to create a SoRare account. By using my affiliate link, you'll not only get 20 free common cards, but if you purchase 5 cards on the live auction marketplace, you'll get a 6th one airdrop to you for free, but that's only if you use my link in the description below. And with that, let's take a look at the SoRare Steals for the Detroit Pistons. All right, so we're on SoRare data as always, and I have the Pistons roster up. And the first player I want to talk about is Bojan Bojanovic. My apologies if I mispronounce that name at all, but I do believe that Bojan is an incredible pickup for one key reason, and that's there's a lot of season left. Bojan is on the Detroit Pistons, who will be going into full tank mode if they are not already there, considering not only are they a young team who want to acquire more assets and enter the Wembanyama sweepstakes, but their star point guard, Cade Cunningham, is out for the season. And Bojan is a very good player for the Pistons, who might single-handedly be preventing them from acquiring more losses. And, that's not what you're looking for when you're trying to tank. In addition to that, we can look at his stats here. He's averaging over 20 points per game in his last 10 games. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, almost a steal per game. He's putting up meaningful stats that teams that are trying to make a championship push are really going to want. And it is a perfect position where the Pistons want more assets, and some of these teams would gladly give up assets to try and grab a ring. So the argument for picking up Bojan is that he will get traded to a much better team, and on that team, he's going to have a more defined role with more consistent minutes and more open looks because he will not be one of the better players on the team. He's going to sit in the corner and drain threes all day. So let's take a look at his price chart here. We can see that, there are a couple little peaks here where we almost got to around 30 for him. But he's been pretty consistent for a while, sitting at that $15 range. And, I think a decent comparison, not in terms of play styles, but in terms of caliber of SoRare card, would be like a Jakob. He's got a similar cap, he can put up similar numbers, and he has a similar price where, Jakob, his high end is probably 30, 40, but he was at $15 for quite a while, and he's sitting at the low 20s for now. I think Bojan is in that same bucket. I think if you have a Bojan, there's a very good chance you can at least make a $10 profit. I think he goes up to like 25 pretty easy, especially if or when he gets traded. And you could even sell the news of the trade without ever having to have him perform on that team and see how he gels and fits into their system. Real quick, let's go ahead and take a look at some of his scores here. And we can see by the chart that once again, right here, 48, 52, and a 50 this month. I mean, that's incredible, especially with such a cap like that. If you have a cap under 30 and you're outperforming by over 20, that is a very valuable card. So, yeah, just having that ceiling potential is crucial. So, I think Boyan's a really, really good pickup, and someone that I will be watching and probably picking up relatively soon. All right, so the next player on my list is actually in a somewhat similar situation, and that would be Saddiq Bey. Now, Saddiq Bey is going for a similar price, but as we take a look, his last 10 games, he's performing at less than half the points per game and about the same stats otherwise. And his cap is 10 less as well. Sadiq Bey, I think, has been kind of underperforming, but he's another player that there's a very good chance that he gets traded away by the Pistons. And we can see he's kind of at some of his lowest lows here. I believe I got him as a reward. And as you can see, I sold him for 20. This green dot, I think this is really cool on SoRare data. You can see your sales on the chart, and you can adjust the dates here to whatever custom range you want. So you can kind of see how you performed. But anyways, as we can see, I mean, his price has really never been lower, and people are getting him for close to $10. And I just think that's a good deal as, the trade deadline is fast approaching. Like we said before, the Pistons are looking to tank. They are not looking to win games. And if we take a look at his scores, while he hasn't performed doing anything super special, as we can see this year, he had a 41 here, a 38, which is not terrible. Doubling your cap is not bad. But I think if we look back to March, we have this one outlier. And I mean, you shouldn't use this as the golden rule here that, he got an 85, so he could get that again. I don't know if he ever gets an 85 again, but you can see throughout, some 50s, some 40s, and that 85 shows if he just absolutely is having a perfect day, like he can hit a ceiling that just a lot of people can't get to. Like I said, I don't know if he ever gets an 85 again, but I could see him putting up a 60, a 65, and then with a cap of 20. I mean, that is just a great play for a lineup. And once again, similar to Boyan, Sadiq Bey could get traded and you could probably sell the hype without ever having to have him play a game on his new team. So I really like Sadiq Bey. I do think he's going to get traded. And I think his price is criminally low when you compare it to some of the other players with similar caps in the same situation. All right, so now that we've looked at two players who might be valuable because of potential future trades, I want to talk about a player who is valuable in his role and position, and that player would be Marvin Bagley. Now, Marvin Bagley is currently injured, but he is expected to be back either the very beginning of this new year or the very end in the next game or two. So it's nothing super, super serious. And for $10, I mean, that's a pretty great price. And if we take a look at his projections here, we can see that, started off injured, so we don't have any data here in the early November, but we can see that he spiked all the way to, 30, a little over $30. And now he's, continue to go down as, we've seen some more cards get released via auctions. There's more supply. And ultimately, Marvin Bagley's in this weird position where he's not exactly the starter, but sometimes he is. And so there's just no guaranteed minutes for him and no consistency. So if you're picking up Marvin Bagley, one, like I said, I don't think he's going to get traded. So you're picking him up, and he's a player that you're either looking to sell on a very specific week or play on a very specific week. He's not someone you can just throw into your lineup at any time because he's competing with, Jalen Duren, who they want to get minutes and develop, as well as Isaiah Stewart, who is in a similar situation. That's kind of the blessing and curse of having such a young team with so much talent. So if we take a look at his scores, we can see he hasn't done anything super crazy. We do see a nice little 41 here, putting up a lot of 30s otherwise. But, with a current cap of 17 and him being kind of not the starter right now because they're still developing Stewart and Duren's kind of getting a swing at things, I think you can see this cap continue to go down and reach a point where, post All-Star break, post trade deadline, where some players have been let go, Bagley's going to get some more usage. He's going to get some more touches. He's going to get more consistent minutes as the Pistons are actively trying to tank. And there will probably be this crucial inflection point where he has a very low cap and he projects very high for a week or two because he's going to be getting more minutes and he's been kind of second, third string for a while. So, him putting up these 15s and 12s, 2s, 8s, like that is indicative of what will happen in the near future, which will continue to lower this cap. But like I said, we're thinking big picture here. I think Marvin Bagley is a player maybe you don't want to buy right away because we're going to continue to see more supply put into circulation. But he is definitely a player you want to watch and someone you want to buy before the Pistons potentially make that trade, sending away a Sadiq Bey and a Bojan. So I really like Marvin Bagley. I think there's a lot of upside here. And at $10, you're not risking a lot in case he, suffers an injury or something that takes him out for the season. All right. And the last player I really want to talk about is similar to the Marvin Bagley situation, but on steroids in this case. And you'll see what I mean as we take a look at Corey Joseph. All right. Now, Corey Joseph is a back of the bench type of player. And we can see that in his last 10 games. He's not putting up any significant stats. He has a cap of 11, which honestly is higher than I would think it should be. And, when we take a look at his scores, maybe we'll see that it's about to dip even further. And we can see that, at a price of 327, or if you're looking at the rare, like $20, that's a pretty good entry point. And if we take a look at his price chart, we can actually see kind of the reason why that's the case. So we can see here, he was sitting at a little under a dollar. I think I bought him here at $2. And we can see there was a spike here that got him up to 7. Then there was another spike that got him all the way up to 15. Thankfully, I was able to sell before that spike completely was erased. And we see another spike here. And we see, once again, it's slowly similar to here after this first spike where it slowly went down before the next spike. It's slowly starting to go down again. And someone was even able to get one for like 250. Now, the reason we're seeing these spikes is similar to the Bagley situation where Corey Joseph was the third string point guard. He was behind Cade Cunningham and Killian Hayes. And we can see that these first spikes happened because of the Cade Cunningham injury. So, as we can see, Corey Joseph has, once again, like we said, died down in price as, he hasn't put up any crazy numbers that would warrant a high price point. We can go ahead and take a look at some of his recent scores. We can see a -4 here, a 2, a 7, a 6. Nothing super special here. And even then, his peak is at a 25, which, yes, I mean, that's more than double his cap, which is cool. But once again, it was against the Lakers, and this is not something you consistently depend on right now. However, like we said, the Pistons want to lose. They are motivated to lose. And that's why someone like Corey Joseph, post All-Star break, post trade deadline, will hold much more significant value in the SoRare meta than he does now. Because, if he continues to put up a -4, a 2, 7, a 6, his cap's going to drop even lower. And then he is going to be thrust into a position where he will be filling a lot of empty minutes on a team that has sold off its scorers, its ball handlers, the players that are taking up a lot of usage for assets. And, that usage has to go somewhere. And Corey Joseph is a prime candidate being the backup point guard for the rest of the season. You don't think there's going to be a point where Killian Hayes, take some time off so they can either lose a game or, load management because they have a back-to-back, or, maybe he gets injured, God forbid, and Corey Joseph becomes the starter for an extended period of time. There are just a lot of outs here based upon the Detroit Pistons situation, and that's why I think Corey Joseph is just an absolute steal. As you saw before, I bought one at $2 and flipped one for $9. Before this video is posted, I will have bought another Corey Joseph. because I just think he's a great, great SoRare steal, and he really fits exactly what we're looking for. And when things get weird, when teams are really trying to tank, someone like him is going to thrive. And that's the beautiful part of SoRare steals is, if we reach that point and you're not confident to put him in your lineup because the Pistons are doing all these wonky things because they don't really have any motivation to win, there's still going to be an increase in price, and you can go ahead and take your profits and use it to buy a player that you really think can be part of an optimal lineup. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It's something very easy you can do that really helps at this channel so I can continue to make videos during my free time. Make sure to check out the other SoRare Steals videos from the other teams we've already covered, and join me next time as we take a look at the SoRare Steals for the Golden State Warriors. Please clap.